Tomlin. I'm here as a representative of South Bay YIMBY, a group of housing advocates representing both people within the city of Santa Clara and Santa Clara County. And I just wanted to voice our strong support for this project. I would ask everyone to consider that the option isn't just between this project and no homelessness, it's between this project and the status quo, which means many people sleeping outdoors, sleeping in their cars, and struggling to have a roof over their head. This is exactly the sort of project that we should look for if we are worried about mental illness or drug use, because there are services involved in this project, and I would really ask everyone to reconsider this against the status quo. Will your property values be hurt more from unhoused people in the community or from having a place that actually connects people with services? Thank you.
Hi, my name is Eva. I want to reply to the people who support. Firstly, I am opposing to this. Do you really think that building a shelter in our community will help these people? Think of the problems. Like, for the people who come out from the shelter, if they have nowhere to go, where will they stay? They will stay in front of your door and our door. And for the people who are on the wait list for the shelter, who didn't go to the shelter, where do they go? They'll go to still sit, live in front of our doors, and that would be problems, right? And I don't see any solutions proposed right now to solve these kind of problems. And there are just two roads in front of us. One is keep the safe community as it is, and another one is just let Santa Clara become one of the downtown LA, which attracts thousands of homeless people, and not homeless, crying or people.
My name is Brenda. I've lived in Santa Clara and Sunnyvale since I was 5. I adamantly oppose the shelter at this location. This is not just a homeless issue. This is a mental health crisis. This land is county land, meaning it was purchased with taxpayer dollars. Therefore, it should be the Santa Clara taxpayers decide whether or not this location serves our community. The fact that is a major concern to everyone. Do you know that the shelter is for men and couples only? Why do you think this is? Maybe because convicts will be dropped off here and the laws will not be enforced, or the laws will actually be broken. Did you know that low barrier shelter means no identification will be required, no background checks will be done, sobriety is not a requirement, no curfew. Some shelters have guidelines. The low barrier shelter is a way to break the laws that are in place to protect our families and our children.
I'm worried about the homeless shelter because there's a lot of people in our schools, including me, that walk home from school. And at night there are a lot of cars, and I'm worried they could run over a homeless person.
I'm Aria's mom and concerned parent of all the school children in the neighborhood. And we want to know, what is the city's plan to keep the children safe from harassment, from getting molested on the streets? Currently, we have homeless people in our backyard constantly, and if you can't confine 250 people into a homeless shelter, they're not going to, they need a place to walk around. You can't say, oh, they're not going to leave the land and just stay there and not, bother people that are around them. So what are the plans to keep the community safe from harassment?
So is the county here, or is it just the city? Okay, so the county, in my mind, is the one that gets to do the determination, not the city, right? The city can't say, we don't want it legally.
If you're asking the approval process, the first step is with the city council.
Okay, they get to advise, but if the county says do what they want, they can do what they want, correct?
No, this is a partnership.
Okay.
If the city says no, we have to go back to the board and report that the city is not interested in partnering for this project.
Okay, that's one of my concerns. The path to homelessness is many. Not all people that are homeless are the same. They have different needs. You talk about robust services and such like that. I get it. The problem is that you're doing one thing. I don't see the details on how you're going to deal with that population given what their needs are as a many. And when you look at other places that fail or succeed, those are the things that we should be looking at and saying, why did this fail? Why did it succeed? I think we need to have it because we need to have some way of taking care of the problem that is all over our system.
Hi, my name is James Wong. I live 1 block away, just across the Lawrence Street. I'm here to voice my strong opposition to this housing project. While I do support building housing projects for homeless people, because all men are created equal, but just because all men are created equal, as city and the council officers, you need to think about whether you also want to live in an area where just one step away from a high-speed expressway, where there's a lot of safety issues. And at least I don't want to risk my life for all those safety issues. And I don't want my fellow citizens, although they're homeless, to suffer from this either. That's one. Second thing is about the low barrier entry. So there are people who want to stay in a homeless shelter forever, but there are people who really want to leverage the opportunity to coming back to a normal life. And imagine you're invited to onboard a plane and telling you this is a low barrier security check, whether you're willing to onboard. And if you're hesitating or no, really think about whether your vote is for this project.
I live in this neighborhood for 10 years, and I strongly against this proposal. And I see some supporters saying, oh, by building this homeless shelter, it's an opportunity for families, children to have a chance to grow and learn by seeing and interacting with homeless people. Then I would request you to provide us specific information that by other side of homeless shelter, what kind of the chance that the kids, the families grow better and learn better with the homeless shelter? Just show us some information, details, testimonies that the family and the kids learn better. Especially for the supporters, if you have kids, I would see you and together with your 6, 7 years old girl together to visit the homeless shelter, homeless people and interacting with them and to show us that your kids grow better. So to convince me that it is a good way to build a good community. You support.
Hi, my name is Benton. I've been a member of this community for 4.5 years. I drive to work every day on Lawrence Expressway, and one of the things I see there is all the on-ramp for people sleeping in cots and tents, and that's been a very big concern to me because it's only a matter of time before someone gets hit. I think it's a really great development here that we're looking at building a homeless shelter in this community. I am firmly in support of it. I don't think it goes far enough, of course, in addressing the homeless issue, but I think it will help, especially seeing after COVID, we've had, I believe, a 35% jump in the homelessness in this community. I think if we don't build these shelters now, it's only going to get worse, and we're only going to further criminalize homelessness unless we build something to help them get better. I see a lot of concerns, too, about drug abuse as well as mental illness. Well, it doesn't really get better unless they have a place to live that's not outdoors and homeless. That should be pretty self-evident to me. Also, there's this map here I saw with all these schools around this homeless shelter. I think it'd be great if there were some family units in these shelters so that way those families could have their kids go to school around here. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mike. I'm strongly also in support of this project. As pointed out, these are not homeless people being flown in from another state or something. These are people living now in this community with no other place to go. Do you really feel safer with people living, as just described, on the street without shelter, without supportive services, or coming in your backyard? What makes that a good idea? Does that really make everybody safer? And how can you break up a homeless encampment if there's no place for the people to go? Just to state the obvious, if you give a homeless person a home, they're not homeless anymore. And I hate to see the hostility towards these unfortunate people. So I support this project. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Yo-Yo. I am a resident of Santa Clara City. I live a mile away. My family live here. My kids go to school here. I strongly oppose this location. This is a low barrier project. We feel unsafe. We feel desperate that we cannot keep our family and our kids safe. You guys said that we should show our love. How can one show love with a heart full of fear?
Hi, my name is Rick. I spend hours to search for safety numbers around shelters, so I know all these numbers that you have shown. You just showed a report saying that number of calls to police reduced in San Jose after having a shelter. Do you know why number of calls to police reduced? Search for another report. San Jose police are getting slower at responding to calls. I'll read a paragraph. You see a direct decline year over year in these reports because staffing has just kept going down. Then add on a much higher number of homeless folks that these calls take much more time to solve and a larger population in general. So number of calls go down because homeless folks make these calls much longer. So whenever we ask safety questions, the answer is always no safety issue. Did you really do your research?
Hi, I'm Cecil. I'm retired and I own and live in my condo, which is directly across the street from the proposed project. Although liberal, I'm also realistic. I hope those on the stage and those who will vote are also realists. Homeless need significant help, but housing those with serious substance abuse and or those severely mentally ill who will be allowed to come and go freely in a neighborhood filled with families, seniors, schools is unrealistic and unwise. Although a minority might be helped in 5 to 6 months, the majority will still require help for their illness for 2 to 6 years, and I read that online. And they still may be looking for jobs or housing. If the lot must be used, consider housing for low-income seniors, those with jobs who can't afford current rents. Across from this location, not just a strip mall, a 7-Eleven strip mall.
Hi, I'm Neelu, and I strongly oppose this idea of building this low barrier shelter. I have 2 questions and 1 concern. The first question being, is this really to support homeless people? By putting in people with mental illness and drug addiction on an expressway, to me, it seems like a plan to get rid of them. 1 person at a time. My second question is, why are no single females or families with children allowed in this shelter? Because it's not safe for them? Then how is it safe for people around this shelter?
And one last. Sorry, that was it. 2 questions. Your time was up. To answer your question on number 2, during the presentation, I mentioned that Life Moves is looking at adding families with children to the facility. Item number 1, your question, I'm not sure that I fully understood. Heather, I'm not sure if you caught her question or someone from the Life Moves team about, was it about services?
Why do you have those people
Oh, the location.
They can walk around, they can get hit by the vehicles because...
Okay, thank you.
My name is Judy Crates, and I'm not going to get any applause because I have questions on both sides. So my first, and I do live in the neighborhood, My first surprise was the number of adults originally proposed. I just heard you considering families, but given the extensive needs of who is being there, the number of adults is really, I would call that high density needs. And are you really providing the high density services? Are you going to be able to provide that? Someone else mentioned we're not solving homelessness, and we all agree that. But just a thought, and it's been mentioned before, if you really want to solve the homeless problem, let's look to the future and look to families. Because there is plenty of data, if you look for it, that homeless children do not go to school, do not graduate, drop out, and we're creating another generation of homelessness. So that is not going to go away unless we deal with families who, and I know parents disagree, children can be counted. Okay, children can count. The last thing,
Thank you.
Hi, this is I also live in the neighborhood. So I have a question for the operation cost. So who are going to pay the operation cost, and will this also be covered in the home kit project? And I have another question. Is based on the recent data shared from Milpitas Police Department. So the service call number before and after the shelter built in Milpitas, so it's 4 times higher. And so I have a question to the two officers here. Do you have some staffing plan to manage this shelter? And my last question to you is, so as if you have the staffing plan, so you have the new police officers, or they have a proper place to live in Santa Clara. So I think we should build the apartment for the police, for the nurse.
Thank you for the question. Derek Rush, the Assistant Police Chief here in the City of Santa Clara. I see there's a lot of questions. I can note down and give my comments at the end if you would like.
I think they're
That would be beneficial. So I'll have about 5 or 10 minutes of comments at the very end, and I'll continue to write down questions that are directed to us to give you guys a chance to all speak.